read it. Oh my fucking god, that book, best psychological thrillers you will ever find.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. First of all, I am alive because I just vanished from YouTube. And recently, somebody commented on one of my YouTube videos that they wanted psychological thriller or thriller sort of stuff. So, I'm going to recommend some. So, yeah, I'm going to be explaining about each one of these, and let's get on with the first. So the books I have, they are not for any specific age. People 12 years to any age can read them. So the first book I have is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. This book is basically about four kids who have been accused of murder. So basically what happens is these five kids, they end up in detention and one of them dies, like out of the blue. And these four kids who were with him in the detention, they have been accused of the murder, and throughout the book we figure out which out of the four is the murderer. But in the end there's a plot twist, blah blah blah. So it keeps you hooked, and in the end you find out who murders him. And there's also a series about this book on Netflix, so you can check that out too, but I recommend reading the book before that. On to the next book. So the next book I have is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This book, I read this very long time ago and I finished it in a day because it kept me hooked, but it was also a disappointment at the end. I mean, it did not stand up to my expectations of a psychological thriller, but who cares? Anyway, so this book basically follows three cousins, and they are from very rich families. Like, they have the whole island to themselves. And there's another guy, his name is Gart, and he's best friends with one of the cousins. So basically, all four of them spend every summer together in that island. But one summer, a tragedy happens, and the lead character in this book, Cadence, she doesn't remember basically what happened in that summer because she like forgets everything that happened and all. So she returns the next summer, and she meets all of her cousins, like the other three people, and she doesn't even remember what happened, and she's still on medication and stuff. But as we go on throughout the book, we figure out what had happened, and it literally blew my mind away. But I sort of figured it out because the way it was going, and the basically the writing style of this book is very unique because it's like in parts, it's broken, like a sentence goes on and then it breaks somewhere and then another paragraph starts. It basically reflects Cadence's memory and how it matches with the writing style. I don't know what I'm saying, but that's something I figured out because I don't know, I just felt like it. So this book is really great and it will blow your mind at the end. But since I figured it out while I was reading it, so it didn't really, affected me that much. But okay, this is another great read. Now I have two books of the same type. One of them is very overhyped, and another one is very underrated. 13 Reasons Why and Playlist for the Dead. The concept of both the books is literally the same. Like, one of the person dies and there's another person who's trying to figure out why they died, and the person who died leaves some clues. Like in this book, Hannah Baker, who is the person died, she left tapes, and in this book the person died left a whole freaking playlist and a letter. So both of they're like the people who are trying to figure out, they go through their stuff and they listen to the tapes this way, and they listen to the songs this way, and they try to figure out why they died. And I won't say it's a psychological thriller, but yes, it's a thriller. It involves murder, and it also involves like very sensitive issues, which I think it's in this book. And there's also a series for this which is very overhyped. I have no idea why. It might be good, I don't know. So I recommend you do not read the book. I don't know why I'm saying that, because this book is total disappointment. This is like 0 out of 5 stars, or if I'm generous enough, 1 out of 5 stars, because I completed this like way too long ago and it really did not stand up to my expectations because the plot was so good. Like, the concept of the plot was good, that somebody dies and then the other person is trying to figure out from the clues they left like why they did so.
but the author, J. Asher, he did not do justice to it. Whereas this one, Playlist for the Dead, is a way better book than this. Series might be better, but the book is this one better because it actually, I'm not even going to elaborate this, ignore the stupid sticker the bookshop wala bhaiya put there. Anyway, so it says, this is what Sam knows. There was a party, there was a fight, and the next morning his best friend Hayden was dead. And all he left Sam was a playlist of songs and a suicide note. So this one is the one that kept me hooked, and this one is the one that actually justified the concept of the plot. So I recommend you read Playlist for the Dead first, or if you're watching the series of 13 Reasons Why, keep watching. You do not have to read the book, you'll just be disappointed. So I recommend you read this and leave this. The next book I have is Girl on the Train by who? Paula Hawkins, sorry. The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. So basically, the problem with this book is there are like too many people. And the problem with me is like I can only follow two of the characters because most of the books I have, they are mainly about a lead character and like 2 or 3 side characters. But this has like 6 or 7 characters and they have names. All obviously the characters will have names and I get so confused between the names. But overall, this book was good. It's about a girl who observes people's life while she lives on a. She doesn't live on a train. She travels on a train, and she observes everybody's life. And there's like a couple thingy going on. I don't know. It's like it really messed with my brain, not in a psychological thriller way, but in a very too many names and too much plot kind of way. I obviously liked this book. It was very thrilling. It did blow my mind at the end, but I like struggled going through it because there were too many people in there. So yeah, but obviously this is a very good book, and I don't even remember what this was. Wait, let me remember. Oh yeah, right. It's about Rachel, and she's a girl. Yeah, she's a girl, and like nobody knows her basically, but she knows everybody and she observes everybody's life, and there's drama going on between couples and stuff, and she knows this and that. I don't know, Google about it. Next book is The Silent Patient by Alex something. I'm not gonna pronounce because it might be wrong. Anyway, so this is a book you should definitely read. Unlike The Girl on the Train, it has basically 3 characters, one of them who's already dead, and a therapist and his client. So basically, there's this lady who shot her husband 5 times in the head and then went silent. Like, she never spoke ever again after that. And the therapist is the only one who can get words out of her. So even on the front page, it says, only she knows what happened and only I can make her speak. And the holy shit, the thing that happens at the end, literally just for real. Like, this book is a perfect thriller, and if you're in a reading slump, read this. This is gonna get you out of it. So this is 5 out of 5 stars, and I totally recommend it. You should definitely go and check this out. So if you want a book in Indian context, I suggest you read One Arranged Murder by Chetan Bhagat. I think this is the latest book he released. I don't know. So I don't read Chetan Bhagat, but I read about this on Google, and it is basically about a couple, Saurabh and Prerna, and their friend Keshav. So this thing goes on between them. Saurabh is not talking to Keshav and stuff, and it is somewhere. It just gets a little bit cheesy somewhere, but it is like mind-blowing thriller, and I would definitely give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Yes, 3 out of 5 stars, because this did not do much things, and basically like it was written in Indian context, and I don't really read Indian context much, so I don't really get into it that much. So that there comes the problem, but I think this will do the work of a thriller, and it is again a really good read. Another thing, I have not read this. I just read about the plot on the Google. So you better read the plot before reading the book, because this recommendation is not good enough. Now the thing is, my favorite author, Colleen Hoover, she recently released, no, not recently. It's like pretty old, like medium old book of hers called Verity, and oh my freaking god, that book is one of the best psychological thrillers you will ever find. And it's like, people say that, I have not read that yet and I have to, it's in my TBR, but people say that you cannot sit in a room alone at night after reading that book. It really messes up with your head, and that book is really scary. And I don't know like how that book functions, because that book has really, insight to it, and it can really mess up with your head. So I am really waiting to read it, and I suggest you read it, because seeing the reviews, like look at the reviews, and that book is phenomenal. You should definitely read it. Like, before any of these books, please go and read Verity by Colleen Hoover. Well, before going, I have one more book which, in an Indian context, which you may or may not like. It's The Girl in Room Number 105 by Chetan Bhagat. This book is again about Keshav guy. I don't know what's with the obsession with Keshav. He was in this book and this book, but they're not the same person. Anyway, so I have not read this again, but I suggest you read it if you like Indian context. And this is again a really good thriller. I have these two books because they are the ones that got very famous for thrillers, but I still haven't read them because I still have like 3-4 books left to read. So anyway, I suggest you read them, and I don't know what this is. What is it about? Also, like this, his ex-girlfriend, and she calls him to room number 105, and he goes there, but then he regrets he shouldn't have gone there. I don't know what this is about, but this is a thriller. Read it, or maybe Google it before reading it, because my recommendation skills are like going down. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Even if you didn't, that's okay, because never mind. Anyway, so I'm going to see you next time, like whenever I post, maybe after 6 months, or maybe not. Who cares? Anyway, I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the good things. You'll get my blessings. And yeah, bye bye.